over here. We're about to make this viral TikTok salad. And the ingredients, I'm going to show them to you right here. These are our ingredients for the viral TikTok salads, Logan's little salad. So I have TikTok over here, and I'm trying to see how can I get it where you guys, let me move YouTube over here. Child, I should have got my setup together before I started this, okay? It's okay. So y'all got my little, I had my whiteboard in here because I had to be sure I had all my ingredients together, but I got my ingredients together so I can move that up out the way. Okay? All right, TikTok, YouTube, I got y'all, but y'all still can't see the food. I need y'all to see the food, child. Okay. There we go, YouTube. We got y'all together, okay? Hey, TikTok, how y'all doing? Let me take this door camera off. Well, I'm gonna keep the door camera on, but I'm actually going to, let me see how I need to do this here for y'all. Okay, y'all can't see me though, that's the only issue. But that's okay. Okay, so we got on my cutting board, I use the English cucumber. We're gonna be using the smoked salmon, cream cheese, and I also have the garlic herb green cheese because I've seen so many different people's videos. So I got that. We have the everything bagel seasoning. We have our dill. We got our capers. We got our red onion. I actually got one that's already cut that we're gonna use. Gotta use that up. We got our avocado. And then we have our smoked Atlantic salmon, okay? And then we got our pretty gold bowl that we're gonna use to mix all this in. We are not going to be using the container that Logan used. Now, I did see a lady that she actually, she cooked her salmon a little bit. And I've never cooked the smoked salmon before. And let me just turn y'all this way, YouTube. Hold on. Not YouTube, TikTok. Let me switch this over. Okay, let's do it that way. Let's see if y'all. Okay, y'all. Look at God. Okay. So I seen her do that. So I'm gonna cook a little. I'm gonna make it both ways. So I'm gonna make it with the smoked salmon by itself, and I'm also gonna make it where I'm gonna cook a little bit. But I like to use butter, okay? Not parquet, not margarine, I can't believe it's not butter, actual butter. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of butter over here on my cast iron, which my cast iron is already hot, okay? It's already hot. So I'm gonna just melt a little bit of this butter. I might need to use a little bit more. And I'm gonna end up bringing the cast iron over here so you guys can see. But let me just get a little bit more butter on there. Put my butter to the side, and I'm gonna put all of this to the side for now. And then we got our smoked salmon. This is Members Mark. I got the large pack because I'm gonna be getting my life together, y'all. I got to get my life together, and I just want to use a couple pieces over here. So let me. Cast iron coming over. And I'm not gonna do a whole lot of pieces, just a couple pieces. Because Logan's recipe is actually with just the smoked salmon. So I'm probably gonna add both of them into my salad, right? We're gonna do both of them. Okay, so y'all see I'm kind of putting this into the butter so it can get nice and buttery because ain't nothing like butter, okay? Right, so that's gonna cook a little bit. I'm just gonna put this back over here on my stove on low. And let me wash my hands real quick. Okay, now we have this English cucumber that I'm going to slice up. Now, me, myself, I like to slice my cucumbers down the middle and then slice them. And the recipe calls for 1 whole cucumber. I use an English cucumber because you can eat the skin on the English cucumber. I think the regular American cucumber that we're used to. Hey, you just saw, hey Maria. I think the skin is just a little it's just a little too harsh for me, okay? So I like using this type of cucumber, which is called the English cucumber. So again, Logan just cuts his straight across. I'm cutting mine in half and then going down the middle. And let me see. Trying to get my YouTube over here together. How y'all doing today, YouTube and TikTok? Okay, so we got that cut up. And then this is my super, super large cutting board. Y'all can see, honey, I had some work done to it. Honey, I be putting in work in the kitchen. And we're just going to take and put this in this really beautiful wood golden bowl that I have. Okay, so now we have our 1 cucumber cut up in there. And then from there, we're going to slice up this red onion. I'm using about 1/2 of a red onion right here. Okay, and I feel like my salmon that I had over here cooking is cooked enough. Okay. So we're going to, hold on. Cast iron is cast ironing, okay? Gonna slice and dice up the red onion. Hey, Telemans, how you doing, boo? Thank you for liking the live. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you over here on YouTube. Now I'm just gonna continue to slice up my red onion. Now I love onions. Now I don't know about y'all, but I love onions. Red onions, sweet onions, Vidalia onions, white onions. Just, I don't know why, but I've always had this thing for onions. So I cut around here, then I cut in here, and then I don't cut this part. That stops me from crying. Okay, now I'm just gonna throw that in the trash. And then I'm gonna come in and just try to do more of a fine chop to these pieces of onion that I have. Okay, I feel like that's chopped up good enough. I just don't want any real large chunks of onion on there. Okay, so I feel like that's cut up good enough. So we're going to take this and put it into our very gorgeous gold bowl that we have our cucumbers in. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump those in there. I definitely need a new cutting board because, baby, this one, it started out as a real pretty cutting board to do, oh God, charcuterie boards. I was doing a lot of charcuterie boards, right? And now it turned into a chopping board at this point. So I'm going to take a couple sprigs of dill. Right here I have 3. I'm going to go ahead and use 4. It smells so good. This is fresh dill that I'm using from That's Tasty. So I don't like the way this little end piece looks, so we're not going to use that piece right there. I'm going to cut the end off. And then I'm just going to take and twist back and twist back. Now I got my dill like this, like so. And now I just want to chop. Okay, so now I'm going to take my dill and throw it on top. Okay, then we have avocado that's added. Now this avocado, I hope it's ripe enough. Now if you want to know if avocado is ripe enough, if it has this little thing on it, you pull this off and you see the greenness. That lets me know that this avocado is good. Plus, I'm pushing on it, it goes in a little bit. If this part is like, it's more of a bright lime green and the skin is really hard where you can't press firmly into it, more than likely your avocado is not ripe yet. If you pull that off and your avocado is brown, then it's overripe. Thank you, Talaminte. I appreciate it. I'm trying to turn this dual camera off because y'all don't need to see. I don't need the dual camera. I can't turn it off though, child. So I guess y'all just looking at the seasoning back there on TikTok. Sorry about that. Okay, and I probably, okay, so here's this, and then I just go in this way to the avocado. And then I can just pull it out. Now this one's, it's not as ripe as I would like it to be, but it's ripe enough. Thank you for the love. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. We are still in a C League TikToker. I'm trying to make it up to the A Leagues. I know I'll get there one day, but I'm going to enjoy each and every moment along the way. So I'm just going to cut this a little bit smaller. Let's see. Yeah, it's soft though, so that's good. Hey, Zaya Destiny. Hold on, Zaya Deshay Babe. I hope I said that right, hon. Hey, YouTube, how y'all doing today? And also, season 4 of Eat the Cake, Drink the Wine, and Fuck No People podcast. I'm Coach Tot, your podcast host. Starts today. We are going to read chapter 7 of To Be a Slave. So directly after this, of me making Logan's viral cucumber salad, we will be reading that book. Okay. So I'm gonna just take this and slice it. And dun, 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 dun. Can y'all hear the music? I don't know if y'all can hear the music or not. I got some really nice reggae music. It's actually not reggae, it's Nigerian music playing. Okay. So this is the last thing I need to cut. Make sure I got these cut up small enough. I almost cut my finger. Oh, shit. Okay. So I'm going to transfer all of that over to my trash can. Then we're going to bring back our real pretty golden bowl. We're going to slide in our avocados. So far what we have in here, we have our cucumber, our dill, our red onion, and our avocado. Now, this is where I have not added the salmon yet. So I actually have the whipped garlic and herb cream cheese, but I also found some smoked salmon cream cheese. So we're actually going to use a little bit of both of these. Okay, so this is the garlic and herb. Now Logan didn't use no kind of measurements. I ain't using measurements either, okay? I'm just gonna put it in now. Now I'm gonna use a little bit extra of the salmon. Let me just take this off the end, and I'm gonna just mix all of this together. Okay, now I want to go in with some of my capers. So when you have a jar, you want to open it. This is a trick my grandmama taught me. You take it and hit it 1, 2 on one side, turn 1, 2 on the other side, 1, 2 at the bottom, and it'll open right up. Okay, So if you didn't know that, now you know. So I have 1 tablespoon. I'm actually going to use 1 tablespoon of capers. Again, Logan didn't use no kind of measurement, so this is me using some measurements. And then the everything bagel seasoning. And I'm just going to sprinkle this one here. And actually, now that might be a little bit too much, but it's okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and mix this in. We have not added in the salmon yet. And I haven't added the salmon in yet for a reason, because we have cooked salmon and smoked salmon. So it's all smoked, but part of the smoked salmon I actually cooked. And the other portion I did not. So it looks pretty good, right? And I just want to be sure I have an even distribution of the cream cheese across all these cucumbers and the onion and the capers and the avocado that's currently in here. Okay, so I feel like I do. Now, let me put my tops on. So we use garlic and herb cream cheese, and we also used our smoked salmon cream cheese. We've used our everything bagel seasoning. We've added our capers, and we've added our dill. And of course, in here you have your red onion, your cucumber, and your avocado. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of this in here because we're doing 2 different salads, okay? So I'm gonna put that in there. Now for this one over here, we have some smoked salmon. So I'm just going to take my smoked salmon from off the stove, the one that's cooked. Okay, this is the cooked smoked salmon. I'm going to just put that in there. And I have never cooked smoked salmon before. I usually just eat it the way it is. So we're going to go ahead and just mix that in. So this is the one with the cooked smoked salmon. Hey, Miss Lee. It smells really good. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use just our smoked salmon, not cooked. So I'm going to go ahead and add some pieces in here of this. Now, I'm trying to think what the guy's name is. It's one guy on TikTok. He added some jalapeno in his. So it's some people that are adding jalapenos and some people are not. So I'm actually going to add some jalapeno to mine. Now, I made these jalapenos because all I did is took some jalapenos and I add them into Dave's sweet and spicy pickle juice. So in all actuality, let me grab another cutting board because I want to cut these up a little bit. And again, I need new cutting boards, so until I get those, these gonna have to do. So I'm gonna just take some of these jalapenos that are more sweet and spicy. And I'm gonna cut these up. Just do a rough chop to them. But before I put them in here, I actually want to taste both of the salads without it, okay? So I'm going to use my fork in here just to kind of flake up and cut up the salmon that's in here. And I think you use the salmon to your liking, like how much you decide to use or not use. Y'all see me trying to cut it with my fork and my my other things. So now we're just gonna blend that all in together. Which one y'all want me to taste first? Which one y'all think I should taste first? The cooked or the uncooked? I'm gonna taste this one first because it's already on the spoon. Okay, this is the one with the cooked salmon. And y'all about to get my real reaction because I don't know if I'm gonna like this now. But we're gonna see, okay? That's really good. Now, this is what I'm gonna tell you. The salmon definitely gives it more salt, and capers is gonna give it its saltiness too. So hold on, let me taste this one. I like it with just the smoked salmon better, without cooking it, okay? So don't cook the salmon. Just put the smoked salmon, and let me let people know this. Y'all, I'm losing weight because my pants won't stay up. Smoked salmon is cooked, it's smoked, okay? So it's not that you're eating it raw. Even though it looks raw, it's not raw. It is smoked, okay? So this is actually cooked. I want all my people out there to know that. It's an acquired taste. It ain't for everybody, but it is cooked. It is not raw salmon. So now I want to take and add my jalapenos here. I'm going to add some jalapenos there. I'm going to put some over here. Okay. Now, I'm going to go in and be very Logan-ish. And go in with my chopsticks. And I'm going to mix this all together because this is the one I like the most. I can eat this. I can eat this every day. So, 30 Days of Impact starts tomorrow through the month of September. I have already written my goals down. So if you haven't written your goals down for 30 Days of Impact for September, please go ahead and write those down now. You can join me on TikTok. And then, of course, we'll be over here on YouTube as well as we all gather every day. Okay, every day I'm supposed to go live every day to connect with my YouTube and my TikTok audience. I've been very, very consistent with TikTok at this moment, not so much with YouTube, so I apologize to y'all. But can y'all see this? So this is the viral cucumber salad, and let's go ahead and see what it tastes like with the jalapenos. Yes, honey. Yes. Okay. Okay. Winner chicken dinner. Thank y'all for the love on TikTok. I appreciate y'all. Hey, Mass Mechanic. Okay, and this is over. This is the one that has the cooked salmon in it. Yeah, this is good. Okay, this is good. All right, so I said we were going to read to be a slave, and we're going to do it from right here. I'm not going to redo a set or anything like that. We're just going to read it from right here in the kitchen. Y'all see, I'm usually over here talking to you all, but we're going to do it from right here. I have the book right here. So if you guys want to grab you something to drink, I'm just going to grab my water. And then I'm going to pull my screen over that you guys are used to seeing. So you don't have the distraction of looking at all this other stuff. As I read chapter 7 of To Be a Slave. Now chapter 7 is about, it's after emancipation. So, the glorious feeling of freedom did not last long. Under slavery, the physical needs of the slaves had been supplied, however, inadequately. With freedom, they suddenly found themselves in a position where they had to supply their own needs. All were willing and able to do so, but to do so, they required land of their own and farm equipment to get started. To be really free, it was necessary that they be able to make a living by themselves. It was necessary that they not have to go to those who had formerly held them slaves and ask for jobs. There were some members of Congress who were aware of the problem. It was true, they argued, that Negroes could now vote, but the vote alone was not enough. Blacks had to be economically independent from a white South that was built on black slavery and resented black freedom. These congressmen, the radical Republicans as they were called, argued for 40 acres and a mule for every ex-slave. Their arguments were in vain. Freedom did not come to blacks. It merely visited them for a while. Now I'm reading from To Be a Slave by Julius Lester. This is a Puffin Modern Classic book. It is based on documents that are part of the Library of Congress, which are part of the Federal Writers Project. The United States government, once slavery ended, decided to send, hey Maxio and Cash calling. I'm on YouTube and TikTok, so that's okay, that's fine. They wanted to know what was it like for slaves to really be slaves. So this book, when Julius Lester went to the Library of Congress, as he started reading through the documents, he said he realized that the documents were very different from what he was taught and learned in school. So he started going through the documents, and from those documents, he wrote this book to give a true account of what it was like for slaves. So these are words directly from the mouths of slaves as soon as they were freed. And again, we are reading the very last chapter, which is chapter 7. And this is the very first episode of season 4 of Eat the Cake, Drink the Wine, Fuck Them People podcast. I am Coach Top, your podcast host. And we need to take a moment to take 3 deep breaths so we can have our narrator, Keisha Noir, come in and complete the reading. The Yankee soldiers give out news of freedom. They was shooting around. I just stood around to see what they was going to do next. Didn't nobody give me nothing. I didn't know what to do next. Didn't nobody give me nothing. I didn't know what to do. Everything gone. Tents all gone. No place to stay and nothing to eat. That was the big freedom to us colored folks. I got hungry and naked and cold many a time. I had a good master, and I thought he always treated me heap better than that. I wanted to go back, but I had no way. Jake Goodrich, Library of Congress. It seemed like it took a long time for freedom to come. Everything just kept on like it was. We heard that lots of slaves was getting land and some mules to set up for themselves. I never known any what got land or mules nor nothing. Mitty Freeman, Library of Congress. Freedom turned into another kind of slavery, for many slaves were forced to return to their former plantations and ask old master for a job. The former slave owners were happy, of course, to see the ex-slaves return, for the fields needed plowing and the crops planting. Instead of paying the ex-slaves wages, however, the former slave owners let them work on shares. The plantation owner would provide them with cotton seed, a house, food, farm tools. Once the crop was harvested, he would take half, plus enough crops to cover the cost of the seed, tools, rent, and food that he had let the ex-slave have. Once the owner had deducted his share and the expenses incurred, What was left was the ex-slave share. Usually that was nothing. Now, if you guys don't know, that was sharecropping, where pretty much the slaves were free, but they were bamboozled and hoodwinked into still being slaves through sharecropping. They would till the land, they would plant the seed, they would harvest, and then once the landowner came and took everything, they were basically left with nothing, which was almost the same as, if not worse, when they were slaves. Then the next bad thing happened to us poor ends. I do not say the N-word, but it's in the book. After the war was this. The white folks would pay ends to lie to the rest of the ends to get the farming done for nothing. He'd tell us, come on and go with me. A man wants a gang of ends to do some work, and he pay you like money growing on trees. Well, we ain't had no money and ain't used to none. So we glad to hear that good news. We just up and bundle up and go with this lying end. They carries us by the droves to different parts of Alabama, Arkansas, and Missouri. After we got to these places, they put us all to work, all right on the great big farms. We all light in and work like old horses, thinking how we making money and going to get some of it. But we never did get a cent. We never did get out of debt. We always get through with fine big crops and owed the white man more than when we started the crop and got to stay to pay the debt. It was awful. All over was like that. Orridge Evans, Library of Congress. Thank you, thank you. Old Miss and Master was not mean to us at all until after surrender and we were free. We did not have a hard time until after we were free. They got mad at us because we was free, and they let us go without a crumb of anything and without a penny and nothing but what we had on our backs. We wandered around and around for a long time. Then they hired us to work on halves, and man, we had a hard time then, and I've been having a hard time ever since. Frank Fikes, Library of Congress. Slavery returned in almost every aspect except name. Many slaves made plans in case slavery did return. When us black folks got set free, us and changed our names. So even the white folks get together and change their minds and don't let us be free anymore, then they have a hard time finding us. Alice Wilkins, Library of Congress. The names didn't matter though. They were known by the color of their skin, and they became objects to be kept in their place. A white terrorist group was organized right after the Civil War in 1866 called the Ku Klux Klan. The former slave trader and Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest became the head of it, and it became one of the main instruments to keep blacks from possessing their freedom. After us colored folks was considered free and turned loose, the Ku Klux broke out. Some colored people started to farming and gathered old stock. If they got so they made good money and had a good farm, the Ku Klux would come and unalive them. Now the M word is used in the book, but I know that will cause a ban if I use it on social media, so I have to make exceptions here. The government built schoolhouses, and the Ku Klux went to work and burned them down. They go to the jails and take the colored men out and knock their brains out and break their necks and throw them in the river. There was a colored man they taken. His name was Jim Freeman. They taken him and destroyed his stuff and him because he was making some money. Hung him on a tree in his front yard, right in front of his cabin. Pierce Harper, Bakken, pages 256 to 257. I come in contact with the Ku Klux. Us left the plantation in 65, and by 68, us was having such an awful time with the Ku Klux. First time they come to my mama's house at midnight and claim they were soldiers done come back from the dead. They all dress up in sheets and make up like spirit. They groan around and say they've been unalive and wrongly and come back for justice. One man, he looked just like an ordinary man, but he sprung up about 18 feet high all of a sudden. Another say he's so thirsty he ain't have no water since he been unalive at Manassas Junction. He asked for water and he just kept pouring it in. Us think he sure must be a spirit to drink that much water. Of course, he not drinking it. He was pouring it in a bag under his sheet. My mama never did take up no truck with spirits, so she knowed it was just a man. They tell us what they going to do if we don't all go back to our masters. Us all agrees, and then they all disappear. Anonymous, Library of Congress. When the Union Army left the South in 1876, after occupying it from the close of the Civil War, political power returned to the former slave owners. Almost immediately, state legislatures began passing laws restricting the movements and activities of blacks. These laws were little different from the laws that were on the books during slavery itself. But instead of calling it slavery, it was called segregation. It was inevitable from the moment the North refused to ensure the freedom of blacks, which had been won with 4 years of bloody fighting. Slaves prayed for freedom. When they got it, they didn't know what to do with it. They was turned out with nowhere to go and nothing to live on. They had no experience in looking out for themselves and nothing to work with, no land. They made me think of the crowd one time who prayed for rain, and when it was dry and crop time, the rain fell in torrents and kept falling until it was about a flood. The rainfalls began to holler and call in more rain, and it rained and rained. Then the rain crow got up in a tree and he hollered and asked the Lord for rain. It rained to every little rack of cloud that come over brought a big shower of large drops. The fields were so wet and miry you could not go in them, and water was standing in the fields, middle of every row, while the ditches in the fields looked like the little rivers. They were so full of water. It began to thunder again in the southwest, right where we call the tub hole of the sky, where so much rain comes from the clouds grow blacker and blacker back there. Then one of the men who had been praying for rain looked up and said, I tell you, brothers, if it don't quit raining, everything going to be washed away. They all looked at the black rain cloud in the west with sorrowful faces, as if they felt they didn't know what use they had for the rain after they got it. Then one of the brothers said to the other brothers, kind of easy and shameful like, brothers, don't you think we overdone this thing? That's what many a slave thought about praying for freedom. Slavery was a bad thing, and freedom of the kind we got with nothing to live on was bad. 2 snakes full of poison, one lying with his head pointing north, the other with his head pointing south. Their names were slavery and freedom. The snake called slavery lay with his head pointed south, and the snake called freedom lay with his head pointed north. Both bit the end, and they was both bad. Patsy Michener, Library of Congress. That concludes the reading of To Be a Slave by Julius Lester, a Puffer Modern Classic, a Newbery Honor Book. And I hope I don't lose you all over here on YouTube. I'm going to read the epilogue. I know I still have enough battery for everyone that's over here on TikTok. The legacy of slavery has been bitter, and in the 103 years since the end of the Civil War, little has been done to alleviate the bitterness. Much of that bitterness was reflected in some of the interviews conducted by the Federal Writers Project in the 1930s. 70 years after the end of the Civil War, some ex-slaves expressed attitudes and feelings which, if anyone had bothered to listen, once more gave the lie to the stereotype of the happy slave, of the slave freed by the Emancipation Proclamation and accepted as a man equal to any other. I was sitting here thinking the other night about the talk of them kind of white folks going to heaven. Lord God, they turn heaven wrong side out and have the angels working to make them something they could take away from them. Jack Maddox, Library of Congress. I believe it would have been better to have moved all the colored people way out west to themselves. Abraham Lincoln wanted to do this. It would have been better on both races and they would not have mixed up. But the white people did not want the shade taken out of the country. Many of the bosses out after the freedom couldn't stand it and went in the house and got GUN and blew out his brains. If Lincoln had lived, he would have separated us like they did the Indians. We would not have been slaughtered, burned, hanged, and unalived if we had been put to ourselves and had our own laws. Many a person is now in torment because of this mix-up. God give us a better principle, and we could have had thousands of whites unalived, but we didn't after the freedom. Rhodey Halsell, Library of Congress. Lincoln got the praise for freeing us, but did he do it? He gave us freedom without giving us any chance to live to ourselves, and we still had to depend on the Southern white man for work, food, and clothing, and he held us out of necessity and one in a state of servitude but little better than slavery. Lincoln done but little for the Negro race, and from a living standpoint, nothing. White folks are not going to do nothing for Negroes except keep them down. Harriet Beecher Stowe, the writer of Uncle Tom's Cabin, did that for her own good. She had her own interest at heart, and I don't like her, Lincoln, or none of that crowd. The Yankees helped free us, so they say, but they let us be put back in slavery again. When I think of slavery, it makes me mad. I do not believe in giving you my story, because with all the promises that have been made, the Negro is still in a bad way in the United States. No matter in what part he lives, it's all the same. Now, you may be all right. There are a few white men who are, but the pressure is such from your white friends that you will be compelled to talk against us and give us the cold shoulder when you are around them, even if your heart is right towards us. You are going around to get a story of slavery conditions and the persecutions of Negroes before the Civil War and the economic conditions concerning them since that war. You should have known before this late day all about that. Are you going to help us? No. You are only helping yourself. You say that my story may be put into a book that you are from the Federal Writers Project. Well, the Negro will not get anything out of it, no matter where you are from. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin. I didn't like her book, and I hate her. No matter where you are from, I don't want you to write my story, because the white folks have been and are now and always will be against the Negro. Thomas Hall, Library of Congress. And that concludes the epilogue and the end of Season 4, Episode 1 of Eat the Cake, Drink the Wine, and Fuck Them People podcast. I am your narrator, Keisha Noir. Thank you for joining us, and have a super awesome and blessed day. Love you, bye.